Hey, welcome back. I'm so sorry about that. I basically have some slightly dodgy equipment that I can't afford to replace right now. And sometimes it cuts out. Anyway, so what I'll do is a bit of a summary. So basically there's been 5 minutes or so that we've played so far. All we've done is walk northwest along the road from where we started, which is the kind of marshy tree thing. And we just popped into Howler's Creek. We've just been introduced by the guard. It basically seems to be a town that's very focused on tailoring and cloth. And yeah, basically that's it so far. We're the cleanest village in the north. Her companion chuckles brightly. When the guard returns, he's still alone. So, can ye come now? A friend of mine is in Laborai. The mayor wants to be there when the child arrives. But I was asked to show you the village. Fine. He approaches the watchtower. Tie your mount here. We'll keep the kids away. Most of the neighbors are getting ready to celebrate. Once you're done, he grabs the rope ladder. The view from up there is gorgeous. I climb after him. Even though the ladder swings in all directions, the guard gets you to the top quickly, like a monkey climbing up creepers. You, on the other hand, need to stop and wait for the ladder to calm itself. When you join the man on the wooden platform, you're a bit dizzy. He's leaning on the wooden parapet, observing the area with a smile. See, there's no place like Howler's Dell. The guard points in every direction, giving you no time to contemplate. For the next few minutes, he describes the fields and their crops, the flocks in the pastures, and the shepherds inspecting the fences, the ancient garden of trees and bushes larger than the village itself, the sunlight dancing on the stream to its own tune. If you were to believe everything he describes, this place has access to everything in abundance. The sweetest honey, the most fragrant bread, the softest wool, and the beer. It is excellent. He sounds like a city merchant who's trying to sell an old house. No wonder he's so proud. Why wouldn't they be? They've tamed this scrap of land and live in comfort. The islet in the middle connects both parts of the village. According to the man, the northern gate is hardly ever opened, as it leads nowhere now. Near the eastern gate, there's the Ape Ale Inn, where you can find a bed and victuals. And there's the stall where Akikos's rewards our work, unless we annoy him with pointless talk. That's our chuckle. On the opposite side of the creek, there's another white house. It belongs to Bion, the best clothier in the north. The priests live to the southeast near the wall, but they do not talk to strangers. You also hear about the hunter, the cooper, the fisher, and the miller. The pie maker lives with his sister, the baker. The smith and her husband, the carpenter, live with their kids. Some of the larger buildings could accommodate 2, maybe even 3 generations at once. There could be more than 100 dwellers here. You consider stopping his speech, but he suddenly points at the islet again. There, see, the mayor's coming, the one wearing purple. You're free to join her, traveller. I nod and climb down. You try to get down quickly, but 2 steps are enough to make you sure that that's a bad idea. You wait for the ladder to find its balance. You're relieved when you touch the ground again. You untie your palfrey and follow the guard. You pass a small pasturage surrounded by a wooden fence, a few loose chickens, and a tethered boar. The fancier buildings are covered with whitewashed coating and surrounded with vegetables, herbs, and flowers. The bridges are wide enough to carry even a wagon, but for Sadal, walking on the wooden beams is far from pleasant. The islet is empty, but you notice an empty stall, painted with the shapes of colourful flowers. I walk over the second bridge. Along the entire path, you notice more and more people, observing you, smiling or casually greeting you as they're focused on their own tasks. Finally, you reach the main square. A large tree grows in the centre, surrounded by dark water, held together by a thin wall, perfect for sitting. But the smell coming from the liquid makes you think of rotten eggs. The plant reminds me of the tree you saw in the south next to the swamp altar. In the north, you see the Ape Ale Inn. Judging by the tables, stools, and benches outside of it, it's open for guests. The villagers are chatting and dining loudly, and you catch their curious glances. On the side of the dining area, the merchant is arguing with a tall, broad-shouldered worker. An old man is sitting by himself, using a pie, with a walking stick leaning against the table. A young woman is cleaning the empty mugs in the creek, speaking with a man at least twice her age, maybe her father. I need a spot to tether Sadal. There's a wide wood roof next to the gate that shelters carts, crates, and sacks. You move your mount next to a donkey, to a beam placed here just for this purpose. Without a moment of hesitation, Sadal starts to chew on a nearby haystack. You have some time to make sure it doesn't struggle with your bundles. You return to the inn. The mayor's sitting on a chair with a 4-year-old boy on her knees. She's holding his hand gently, showing him how to eat gruel from a bowl. It's not a cheap meal, though. You spot nuts, berries, and milk, and added honey to make it yellowish. The kid is clean and quiet, and once he notices your arrival, he crams his mouth with a spoonful of oats. Now, love. Don't ye get distracted. She rubs the meal off his face. A few more spoons and you'll go help Papa in the kitchen, aye? She gives you a radiant, though apologetic smile and turns her attention back to her companion. I observe her more closely. Her long, full-sleeved linen dress must have been dyed once in red to achieve its dark, fancy purple, which would draw looks even in Hovlavan. From her left shoulder hangs a green woolen cape, as thin as a shawl. The brown belt on her waist has a large steel buckle that portrays a running deer with unrealistically large antlers, growing in all directions, like tree branches. Unlike her tribesfolk, she's pale with powdered and rouged cheeks, and her lips match her outfit, though they're a bit closer to wine red. The thick grey strands in her long blonde hair look more like a fashion choice than a result of aging. Her eyes are the colour of her cape, keen and vigorous. She's shorter than most people around, though would still be the tallest woman in most of the northern settlements. While she's around 40, her slim hands add fragility to her appearance, even though her posture is upright, her legs confidently crossed and her delicate voice assertive. She makes plenty of gestures, but her shoulders hardly ever move. I need no invitations. I sit down on the bench. Just a moment, love. Please. I need to speak with our guest, darling. She addresses one of the inn workers, a girl close to 15. Take him to father, will you? Her tone suddenly gets firmer, leaving no hint of a question or suggestion. Yes, ma, she responds. Both her hair and her eyes are nothing like those of her brother, and neither of the kids resemble their mother. The flowing water hits silently the rocks and wooden stakes surrounding the isle, then splits into 2 stream beds. In Hovlavan, the river is surrounded by tall walls, protecting the banks from deterioration, and the water is seldom free of dirt. Here, the smell is as fresh as it would be in the woods. So, we have a Roadwarden again. The plant reminds you of the tree you saw in the south next to the swamp altar. I'm sure you're hungry. My husband will bring us something soon. I appreciate it. Don't mention it. Hunger makes me peevish, and the day is too nice for that. She taps her chest and looks at a flock of birds that fly above you loudly, heading south. And we're waiting. Be so good as to help me understand something. Eva, if you're but a mercenary, I cannot imagine a single reason for you to choose this realm for your wardening. Nay, so long after Asterian's disappearance. There's nae glory or treasure to find here. Her pale fingers form a tent on her stomach, then clasp, leaving the forefingers pointing at you. You were sent here by the merchants. They want the peninsula. Okay, so we've got a bit of a choice here now. Okay, I can click them and see, I think. Usually can, anyway. I present Hovlavan's interest as an opportunity. I portray the situation as lightly as I can. I simply explain the situation. Interesting. I make it clear that collaborating with the city would keep her people safe. Well, she caught me. I don't hide the fact the guild needs new opportunities. You see, I'm kind of tempted to go with distanced. I think that this place are not going to want interference. They seem pretty happy with where they are now. So they're probably not going to want anyone getting involved too much, at least in their affairs. But we obviously don't know that. So we could just simply explain the situation and see. I think we'll start with that. You introduce yourself and confirm her suspicions. The guild and the deputy are in agreement. They're willing to send troops to this place, defend settlements and patrol the roads. They cover their pay. You'd only have to look after their board and lodging. You explain that the rate of taxes is open to negotiation, but they would be taken twice a year in spring and fall. You have time to think about it, you assure her, and you're free to consult with your people. Safer roads bring many travellers, artisans, and merchants. I know you realise it's an opportunity. Yes, I do, she finally interrupts you, but roads bring other people as well. Not all of them desired by us. As she observes your palfrey, she twists her dear buckle left and right. The times have changed, and your superiors were kind enough to send a messenger, not a temple guard with a list of demands. But when it comes to the guild, there's always a catch. Her accent is now almost identical to the one used in the city. Okay, I'm telling you everything I know. I can't ask you to trust me, but I'm not hiding anything. You don't have to trust anyone blindly. You're speaking from experience, I assume. I kind of like the last one. Let's see how this goes. Do I really sound that confident? She titters and waves her hand by her chin as if you just offered her a compliment. I've seen such negotiations during my studies, though I can say I took an active part in them. Let me show you an example. She theatrically clears her throat, patting her chest with one hand and covering their mouth with another. Then leans forward and rests on her elbows, allowing her hand to freely make gestures. To answer your question, Bad Wolf, the Roadwarden has to burn corpses because they come back to life. Undead is a big thing in this game. Not that I've encountered very much of it so far, but if you don't burn them, then they come back, basically. It's a societally accepted thing by the seams of it. Yeah, I know. I haven't had much of an interaction with that, although there was somebody burning a corpse in the first place that I visited. You make a deal with the settlement. Flour and wool in exchange for coin and tools. You send the first traders and they imply that you're ready to pay more for, let's say, parchment. Months later, you want no more rye, just the parchment and wool. We can butcher any more mouflons, the locals say. Don't worry, you answer. We'll send you a small flock. Just turn one of your fields into a pasturage. As she pretends to speak as different characters, her voice comically shifts, and she has no issue switching between accents. I love how they, portray characters in this. They're very kind of mystical. It's really quite cool. Needed a drink break. Okay, I encourage her with a kind smile. She swings her hand above the table. Another year goes by, and while there's no more parchment, the village lacks some crops. The tribe needs not just tools and coins, plenty of coins, but also seeds, and the guild is not satisfied. Sending our wagons costs a lot, and there are more highwaymen now. If you want us to come again, you need more mouflons, and to sell us their cheese. And guess what? With a haunting laugh, she straightens up and spreads her arms like someone a third her age. Turns out that the village can't say no anymore. They lack supplies, seeds, and land, and they can't refuse. I smile. I've no doubt that a smart leader like yourself is going to protect her people from these games. Oh, how wonderful. Keep the compliments coming. No soul in the square reacts to her loud laughter. But all that doesn't mean I can counter every single ploy on my own. That's the good thing about living here, with these kind people all around us. She nods to two little girls that are carrying a basket filled with vegetables between them. If some of us struggle, we all have to deal with the consequences. We all struggle and we all benefit. But Hovlavan, if they see profit in chopping off our arms, they'll sell them to the first bidder. She gives you a sad glance, but cheers up after a sigh. Let's finish the introductions. I'm This, one of the keepers of the Ape Ale Inn and the mayor of Howler's Dell. I assume it would be convenient for you to take my answer back to Hovlavan. She wonders for a moment. Say, when could we expect the first caravan? After winter? Depends on what you sell and what you want in return. While the conversation goes on, the food gets served. The refreshing aroma of roasted mutton, covered with a thick sauce made of mint, parsley, and honey, tempts you to bite in right away. The juices are sinking into the round trencher, a plate made of simple brown bread. There's also a small bowl filled with chopped red radishes and sliced boiled egg, and a mug filled with cold buttermilk. Oh man, who would drink buttermilk? Ooh. It's all brought by a few young people, all of them referring to the mayor as their mother, and in the end, the innkeeper himself shows up to wish you a good meal. He's wearing a clean orange tunic, and a not-so-clean apron made of hemp. He politely introduces himself as Eric's, and after confirming you won't get sick from what he's prepared, he leaves you and his wife to your conversation. Face tears up the meat into smaller pieces, then eats slowly, often expressing her enjoyment with a hum. Sounds like the nearby ground is fertile. The village would gladly pay its taxes in grain and vegetables, with the expectation that a squad of soldiers would provide additional protection. Our youth is strong, she claims proudly, so we don't need your guards on our walls. But a lone road warden won't keep the roads passable. We need fighters willing to patrol the paths, maybe even the heart of the woods. That's what we'd expect in return. You're not an expert when it comes to linen, cheese and wool, so the mayor spends a couple of minutes describing the outstanding quality of what the village has to offer, especially the clothes, which are meant to be as unique as those made by Master Crispus. You vaguely recognize the name of this tailor shoemaker, but you've never earned enough to pay him for as much as a single sleeve. And of course, we will never reject some steel and bronze. We lack alloys for sickles and scythes. She then repeats her question about starting a trade route. Truth be told, the guild is not sure what the peninsula has to offer. It's going to take more than your village to convince them. Understandable, but you won't find much in other tribes. They've barely enough to survive, even after they trade for our crops. And we have the only decent soil in the realm. At least the people of Gale Rocks have salt and barrels of fish, while Creek sells meat and wood. Actually, if you haven't been in Creeks yet, the farthest village in the northeast, you could give them a chance. They could use your help with keeping the roads safe. White Marshes, on the other hand, as well as Old Pegasus, are close to worthless, for a trade route, that is. After these words, she stands up and walks to another table, and offers her trencher to an elderly man who sits there by himself. With a trembling voice, he thanks her, then starts to chew on the soggy bread. She sits down and wipes her hand onto a clean cloth, adjusts the folds of her cape, and once again crosses her legs. So tell me, Sinthropides, how's Hovland? I haven't gathered much news since the invasion. The invasion? Interesting. Do we know about the invasion? Not sure we do. Okay. So we've got some options. Things stay humble, but are starting to look brighter. Sometimes better, sometimes worse. It's far from great. Children who lost their parents during the war have no trade. Let's just do the first one. Things stay humble, but are starting to look brighter. The harbour is full of life and the kids grow strong. Oh. I was hoping to hear that. Her smile shines with kindness. I thought they were done for, losing all those ships and getting cut off from so many tribes. I'm surprised the soldiers didn't butcher all the priests and traders to fill their stomachs. It felt so unavoidable that I even came back home, afraid for my life. And I still carry memories of that place, most of them warm. I'm glad the others haven't given up. Her smile fades away and she speaks without looking in your direction, giving you a moment of rest. The first time I crossed the city walls and saw the streets, my soul saw them as if they were made of dragon bones, not stone. All these people and all the noise and high houses and this life happening all around me. But after only 2 years, everything collapsed. For the first time in human memory, like a burning dollhouse. She pauses, rests her hands on her stomach, and turns back to you. But don't let me drag you away from your duties. How can I help you, Sinthropides? Okay, so we've got a massive amount of options. As before, I'm not going to read out the specific options. But what I'm going to do is just go through a few different things. So the first thing is that we need to ask about Asterion, because I think that's our priority right now, so we're going to do that. She stares at you in the eyes, then turns to Sadal. Is your palfrey a mare? We have 2 jacks and could use some mules. A stallion, so I won't give you anything stronger than a hinny. It is, but I need it to taste strong and healthy. Is she trying to trade for information? Let's do the first one. How would you describe what a Roadwarden is? Basically, it's kind of like a Witcher, I would say. I haven't played that. Considering I've done a few hours in this, I haven't gathered that much. But they're basically like traveling agents, I suppose. It's kind of hard to really think of an equivalent. Maybe like a ranger in Lord of the Rings, or kind of like a witcher, but they don't have powers, I suppose. But obviously the specifics of the world lend a lot to it. So the I'm not sure about magic. I think there is some, but I haven't encountered it yet. There is beasts and like stuff that you have to fight, but horses have only just been introduced into this region. So one of your main kind of powers, I suppose, is the fact that you have a horse. It allows you to move really fast and dodge a lot of monsters and get around quickly, and that gives you a distinct advantage. So I've heard. Her eyes wander over the square. That the small donkey bellies bring weak offspring to horses. Her pale fingers reach for her own stomach. When her eyes return to you, they regain their sharpness. I'd rather to avoid long talks about that man. Let him remain as part of the past spring. But since you're asking about him, I could only assume he was indeed sharing his goal with you. I won't deny that. Or I know nothing about it. I'll get paid for finding him, that's all. It's a fancy world from what I can understand, but it's a kind of stereotypical medieval fancy from what I kind of gather so far. I think I might actually lie here. She'll probably know, but I know nothing about it. I'll get paid for finding him, that's all. You sit without a word, listening to the creak until she sighs exaggeratedly. Why are you doing this to me, traveller? I have to figure out if you're lying or simply wrong. But back to your question. She takes a deep breath. Asterion is not welcome here, and I don't know where he went. Bloody hell, okay, she doesn't like him. What are his wrongdoings? You have to know, he failed, and he won't get a second chance. He was meant to escort Agidia, a daughter of mine, to her betrothed in Gale Rocks. She was a great archeress, and the road from here to the coast is not that dangerous. When they saw goblins on the road, Asterion ordered her to push through, right into their trap. She touches her deer-shaped buckle. They got jumped like a bunch of wealthy pilgrims. A Roadwarden worth their gruel should know better. He can fight with a blade, but my girl, he never had a chance. She sighs and looks at the gate. He disappeared soon after his pitiful attempt at apologizing to me. And when we close our doors behind him for good, I'll let you know if he ever tries to return. The map actually is not filled in. I'll show you a little bit later, but it's not very filled in because you explore it, so it basically is non-existent right now. But we're supposedly on a peninsula, a kind of like semi-wilderness peninsula that the some of the merchants from a town called Hovlavan, where we're from, are trying to like establish trade links with. Because it's kind of, and there's these sparse settlements that are spread out that have to like protect themselves. This one seems particularly kind of wealthy and well put together. There's obviously not lots of like villages. They're mainly like just kind of these settlements because of the dangers in the area. Any idea where I can look for him? Why did he leave? Have you ever found your daughter? I'll do any idea where I can look for him. She adjusts her cape with an annoying shrug. Try asking for him in the north. He spent most of his time in between White Marshes, Gale Rocks, and creeks. Here he wasn't that eager to share his plans. Why did you let him leave? For a few breaths, her green eyes seek something in your face. Her words are careful, yet hesitant. She's with the fogs now. The goblins were after food, so they carried her shell away. One day she's going to charge at our walls awoken and empty. Even though she was a bit mawkish, her heart was still strong and patient, and she listened to people, was ready to help them and to cry with them. I could tell you stories, but for what? Let the dead rest. Yeah, so part of the game is like one of your quests is actually your own aim. So I get the impression that Roadwardens are quite different to each other, and you can kind of do what you want with the role. As such, there's obviously some expectations, but not a tremendous amount. Why did you let him leave? You have quite a big family. Let's do this. She titters weakly. At one point, there were 12 kids living in our house, 9 girls and 3 boys. They come and go as it should be. A few are already with the forest. but most are grown now and even started their own families. She looks away at a girl wiping spilled milk with a wet cloth. To be perfectly clear, they aren't exactly our children. It's a custom of our village for the mayor to look after orphans. Thankfully, Eric's has a big heart and much more patience than I do. Why did you let him leave? He didn't do anything well forbidden by our laws. He was simply stupid and cannot be trusted. But this isn't Hovlevan. We have no rich folk to dread. We treat each other fairly. Lost in her thoughts, she rubs the neckline of her dress. One good thing I can say about him is that he didn't try to justify his decisions or to avoid the consequences. But I'd rather have him prove first he can do what's asked of him. Thanks for the help. I wonder, back in Hovlevan, did you spend any time in Backward Corner? It used to be this dark, dirty alley with muggers working even in daylight. I stayed there with Octavia the miller in exchange for doing chores for her. She had a small wooden hut. Kind of messed up whose voice that was supposed to be. But never mind. One moment. Just need a short drinking break. There is honestly so much talking in this game. It's a lot. But I kind of like doing games like this every now and again, to be honest. But yeah, it can be a lot to talk all the time. Okay, let me get myself back in order again. There we go. So, did you spend any time in Backward Corner? Since the war, even the soldiers have avoided that street. You wouldn't recognize it. It would make you feel like you're in the old days. There's no such street anymore. It fell to a great fire. I don't know. Like, is this just a lie, or are we just painting the Okay, let's just click this one. It would make you feel like you're in the old days. The Boarhead Inn is almost 50 years old now. You explain that while the place is still called the bad part of the city, the Boarhead makes good coin selling beer and ale to students, mercenaries, and adventurers. The whole land may turn wild one day, you quote one of the local traders, but Backward Corner will stay the same. Quite nostalgic. She sighs with relief and puts her hand on her hip. Comforting, don't you think? That there are these places, these dark corners, where you can always find what you expect. Living there, though, sounds awful. And always was. I bet the thugs of my youth are no longer around, so I wouldn't count on them giving me free pass. But I wish I could have a chance to drink a mug or two with the innkeep once more. The old lady was always too good to stay in that muck. Right, so we got a million choices again. Let's have a little look. What do we need? Let's ask about the tree. She straightens up and raises her chin. You mean the Beholder? The guardian spirit of our wetlands. Every fall we bring it our gifts, and in return it provides us with its blessed fruit, the flesh of the forest. It's older than the oldest books and oldest thoughts. The druids help us honor its sleep and show us how to ask for its help. Neither of these rituals would be of use for you. Interesting. I like that explanation. I'm just going to close my blinds before some bugs get in. Okay, what else do we need to do? Let's just... What do you think about the scavenger who was here before? Let's go Ruined Village. Her tense gaze shifts into an awkward click of her tongue as she leans away from you. I don't even want to think about that tragic fate. No one can negotiate with the wrath of the herds. And it's better not you find upsetting my neighbours with these sad questions. It was a challenging time for all of us. A wound we won't forget. Have you heard of the necromancers in the north? Yes, I have. After you ask her to tell you more, she seems to regain her confidence. You mean White Marshes, for sure. I don't know all that much about what's happening there. We avoid their lands if we can. I shouldn't gossip about it with strangers. We can talk about it on another occasion. What do you think about the scavenger? Ah, he's still alive. He brought us some news from the north and paid off his debt to us, but he's an idler and a prattler, and he drinks too. The farther away he stays from here, the better. I was in the pelt of the north, the innkeeper feels uneasy. When you mention the raids on the northern villages, her eyes narrow. Are you sure? It's the first I've heard about it. Lucy has been around since years back, but she's not been that much of a nuisance. I'm just a messenger. He's asking for you to join forces with him. Well, I can't give you my answer. I won't ask our hunters to endanger their lives in the pursuit of some gossip. I could ask around and learn more about this. She sighs with exaggerated relief. What a splendid idea. There are only 3 villages in the north, White Marshes, Gale Rocks, and Creeks. Bring me news from those places and you will get your answer. I'm paid for passing the message from here to the Pelt of the North. Asking me to ride for you through half the peninsula and back is a different deal entirely. Well, I'm going to be doing it anyway, so let's just not be controversial. Tell me, how do people dress in the city these days? Is this her question? I think it is. Tell me, how do people dress in the city these days? It's similar to what we have here. Before the war, the merchants were wearing these really long dresses and robes. Way too long for my taste. They got mud stains after every rain. And I see no reason to keep the shoes completely hidden. Not anymore. There's always a shortage of fabric. For years, there was not enough hemp and wool. People started to wear furs again. Let's do the tunics one. At least we can hope that if visitors arrive, we won't stand out much. She laughs, but also adjusts her dress, drawing attention to its superb quality. And who knows, maybe our little village here is going to help those unfortunate clothiers. I'm sure we could spare a couple of sheets of fabric. Okay, so the vibe I'm getting is this village is basically uber prosperous because of that tree thing that they give sacrifices to. There's some kind of like trade-off between them, which is very interesting. You seem to be fairly well off. She reaches for her buckle and her voice grows cold. There's no secret, traveler. There's hard work, risk, and sacrifices, and the support of those that care about me. The good thing that happened to me shined on my people just as much. Think about it before you mention it again. Tell me about Howler's Dell. It is what it seems like, the greatest village in the far north. She raises her hand, makes an inviting gesture. Though I hope to still improve this and that. She winks at you, but is suddenly interrupted by the pained cry of a little boy who hurt his knee during a fall. As an amused elder tries to calm him down, the mayor shrugs it off and titters, then meets your eye again. Life's good here. We have what we need and a lot of what we want. Building on top of more than 12 generations of hard work and bravery. She spends a good few minutes telling you about mouflons, wheat, rye, hemp, cheese, and wool, and proud of every glimpse of prosperity. When she mentions an artisan, shepherd, or farmer, she doesn't miss a chance to mention how significantly she's improved their conditions. She also omits some topics. You hear no talk of tales, songs, ancestors, rituals, or days of prayer. It's like listening to a tax collector. Only at the very end of her speech does she mention the wisdom of the elders, now kept in the teaching of druids, who help her guide those who trust her. They heal our wounds and gardens, she explains, but then changes the topic to all the fruit trees, hares, and nuts in the woods. Once she's done, I nod politely. There is some kind of oddity about this whole interaction. There's something going on. We talk and talk, but I still don't know where you are from, Sinthropides. What's your story? Have you lived in Hovlevan your entire life? Got some options. I was raised in a small city just nearby and moved to the city. My past is buried, let's not dig into it. Or in a way, I know it as well as any of the city folk, but every spring I trained in horsemanship in a nearby village. Yeah, let's just do that one. I was just about to ask about it. I couldn't imagine someone building a stable and paddock in a place where you can't squeeze into a single new house. Your accent is very city-like that of a soul of books and quills. Okay, what would it take to make you consider joining Hovlevan? Ah, I can consider it right now. While she laughs, her eyes remain keen. But if you want to give me some answers, let's see Some gestures of goodwill would be a great start, since you're the guild's messenger. I need to know you can be relied on. She gives you a wide white grin. And that's only the first step, I assume. Of course. Do you even have the power to handle tax negotiations? Do enough for my village and I'll hand you a beautiful signed letter. A list of all the things my neighbours are looking for, as well as what they can give you in return. Your superiors are going to see more than enough to prepare their offer. She rubs her hands. I think that's fair. Yeah, it looks like we're in agreement. Do enough for my village is a bit vague. She nods towards the people gathered by the tables. I'm not the ruler of this place. My friends trust me because I see things as they are and I'm willing to act. Prove that you're helpful, and they'll be happy to match your efforts. I want you to succeed. She puts her hand on her chest. But we don't give strangers more than we can get from them. You want me to argue in your favor? Show us your worth. Looks like we're in agreement. Perfect. One more thing, though. She puts her elbow on the table, leaning closer to you. If you go behind my back, I'm not going to wait for a dagger. I'll end you first. She rests her chin against her open palms, giving you a disarmingly warm smile. I'm sure people already know we have a new Roadwarden. Maybe ask around and see if anyone needs your help. The more my neighbours trust you and need you, the more willing they'll be to offer you better pay. Well, let's start here. What can I do for you? Oh, so kind of you to ask. But before I ask you to run, let's see how fast you can walk, shall we? Her eyes wander left and right, and she gestures for a nearby guard to move away. He nods and then gestures at a few of the souls to follow him. While a few of the locals cast curious looks at you, they turn away as quickly as you notice them. The mayor's shiny green eyes are still locked on you, and her voice is close to a whisper. Since Astirian's disappearance, there's little trade on the roads, and not much news reaches us. Be so kind, and help me learn some interesting tales about our neighbours. I smile back at her. You mean ones that weren't meant to reach you? See, I knew that deep down you're a true sage. Do you have something to share? The soldiers who came here in spring were meant to find a good spot for a new outpost. You don't say. Knowing that, I'll prepare a few very tempting suggestions for the officials. After she seals her lips, she still lets out a wide chuckle. The squad that made camp at the southern crossroads is now nothing more than 2 people. They plan to return to Hovlevan before the fall. Since they cleared... I don't know whose this is, but I'm just going to read it in my voice. Since they cleared that camp of brigands, they went so quiet I almost forgot about them. I'm surprised they managed to stay alive till this day. Sending such an experienced group here shows the officials misjudged the land. I think that was her. I keep thinking, surely city folk don't eat just wild game, salt fish and groats. What animal do people breed in the nearby villages? Ibexes, mouflons, depends, barely any meat. Whatever people can buy. Am I answering this? Because I don't know the answer to this question. Am I meant to just say? Yeah, I think I'm... I don't know, though, in Hovlevan, like, we don't have a map of Hovlevan, so we don't know, we don't actually know what it's like. So we can't really say. I kind of tempted to go with this one, but I don't think that... I think this one's better. Let's do this one. The meat of the tribes. Yeah, it's as delicious as any. Our druids say that birds and fish are even better for you than pork and mutton. What do you believe? Even if they're right, our creek has very little life in it. We really catch more than 2 fish a day. Do you need my assistance? First, I need to be sure you can handle yourself. Bring me some juicy rumours, don't you? And maybe talk with my neighbours. We could use a few coins or someone with a steady hand. Okay, so basically we need to come back here to speak to her again at a future time. When we have some more information, I think is the vibe I'm getting. To be honest. Which is fine. I suppose. Let's go to the innkeeper. Even though the counter stands outdoors, it's not rotten or dirty, and you guess that like the other furniture, it's brought inside every night. Eric's approaches you with a smile and leans on its surface with his fists. He's portly and even taller than his neighbours. He's got freckles, short grey hair and an elegant beard. His long woolen orange tunic has a decorative cut right above his neck, and the loose braids at the edges. How can I help you, traveller? His accent is heavy, nothing like his wife's. We should probably think of another accent for him to be. He stomps with a heavy boot and looks around, as if he's just waiting to get back to his other tasks. His fingers are still dirty from weeding the garden. Do we have any money? That's a good question. We only have 4 pouches for money. So we probably... Let's go with rumours first. Rumours? No, really. I have my own things to worry about. Neighbours keep their own company. Better for everyone to seek help from a wife or the forest speakers. Me and a mug of ale. So no rumours. Perhaps you heard about someone who might need my help. You say as if we expect travellers to get here any day now. I'll ask around. Come tomorrow. Have you had any interesting guests recently? I don't know. There was one vagabond, but he wasn't here for long, and didn't do much. A timid fellow. Talks loudly. Was afraid of everything, especially the guards. His face is touched by flames. He's a big ballista. And a large bird is his beast of burden. I don't know what to say. He went south and is most likely gone. Do you have any food rations I could buy? Yes. We have mutton, dried fruit. 1 ring for enough food to fill you for 2 days. I can't, honestly, this guy's voice, I'm just like, I'm giving up at this point. If you're in a mood for spending, I also have something special with, just give me a minute. He goes upstairs and returns with a small wooden box and a hand-long leather sheath. Oh, it's meant for teeth cleaning. Interesting. Cool. So, we've got a few things. We only have 4 money, so we can't buy a lot. I don't think... In fairness, we do stink, though, so we probably need to do this at some point. I can't buy the teeth cleaning set. It's too expensive. Let's just buy the food rations, and leave it at that. I could use a room. Oh, we found a new shelter, apparently. I don't know what that exactly means, but okay, let's go and speak to the trader. The man behind the counter is inspecting a sack of white flour, mumbling to himself and occasionally cursing. The other locals walk away, giving you space to talk trade in peace. Weevils. Shit, my fire. 'Twas around a few days ago. I can't seem to come out of Scottish today for some reason. I don't know what's wrong with me. In fairness, like, the way that they speak kind of is like that, so I don't know, maybe we just go with it. Nae pies for us tomorrow, looks like. I'll take care of it later. A Roadwarden I. Eva the mayor cared enough to see you, and kids are lining up to look at your horse. Strangers are like ghosts to them now. He's wearing a simple brown robe with no hood, a rope instead of a belt, and a modest trim made of green thread. It barely reaches below his knees, revealing his sandal and crude pants made of linen. At the same time, it's too large for him and hangs from him like a bag. He looks like a poor vendor from Hovlevan. He stares sideways at you with fingers crossed, leaning on the counter with one hand and keeping the other one on his hip. He's around 40, short and a bit greasy, with a humble beard. His hair and fingers are unusually long. I can tell you've been looking for them for quite some time. Everyone brings here what they have in abundance, and I either sell it to travellers or divide it among my workers, builders and artisans. These things here are nae mine, but I can show you wares if you want. But if you can afford me something, I'm not going to haggle. I need to explain myself for every deal I make, or Face will laugh at me all the way to the pyre. Okay, I don't need furniture or barrels. Do you have anything of use for a traveller? I bring goods to sell. I don't think there's anything we can really sell. What can you tell me about Asterion? That Iver, though he was here more than once, he didn't leave much behind, smelly hoarder. At least he bought a blade from me. 'Twas a special one, a sickle sword with a tip wider than 'twas the grip. Long as from fingertip to shoulder, near sword nor knife, single-edged. Brought his own steel to melt for him. More for cutting bushes, creepers and roots. It would nae fell a tree, but it's a fine tool. Pathfinders use it. My pa used to have one as well. He chopped nuts with it, nuts and mouflons. But he took it to the wilderness. Pretty much anywhere. There are hills from here to the coast and bogs in the north. And the heart of the woods. Can you help with it? Do you need any help? I could use a job. Know what? There's something urgent. I need a medicament for my daughter. Not that she's hurt or anything. She's a teen, wants to start hunting in the woods, and I can't teach her much, but I'd sleep better with her having a healing potion. You have almost 9 days. Bring me the potion before the last dusk, and I'll pay you 5 dragon rings. Where can I find such a potion? I can think of 2 places. The safer bet is beyond Old Pagos on the mountain of crazy monks. Crazy and boring. More boring than a mouflon, but they often brew with Numa. You can also head south, east of the crossroads behind Hilt of the North. I've nae been there myself, but you'll find a dolmen there, as old as a city. And this, he reaches for his clinking pouch and pulls out a massive iron key. Is meant to open some secret passage there. When Victoria 3? I'm not sure, you know what, I kind of dropped off it. I need to have another look though, actually, you are right. Also, what's kind of frustrating me is this like immersion pack thing. It's like, why do they do this? The game is an absolute fortune and they're expecting people to pay more. I'm just not really big on like Paradox's game model right now. It's just annoying me. But I've got this and I'm trying to get into War Tales again because I have a few episodes in on that, so we'll be doing that as well. So it won't be for a while, I don't think. Maybe a few months, I'd say, if we do that. But there's quite a few like games that have come out fairly recently that I'm interested in playing. Actually, I actually have one in my car I was going to buy earlier called Raiders Forsaken Earth. It looks kind of similar to something we've played before. I know, honestly, like it's insanity. I don't know why they do that, but I have heard that they're trying to think a bit more about like the subscription things. I don't know how like people feel about that, but regardless, that's looks like to be their kind of model, at least up and coming. Awesome, yeah, so I just got that game actually now, Raiders Forsaken Earth, so that'll probably be something I'll be looking at doing again. Cool. You can also head south, east of the crossroads behind the Pelt of the North. I've never been there myself, but you found a dolmen there as old as a city, and this is meant to open some secret passage, as if he just has his key lying around. She didn't want to take the stall after you. A strong elixir will be worth more than 5 coins. How do you know about that secret? From a merchant. She's from south of Hag Hills. I was meant to pass the key to her friend, but he never showed up. Okay, she didn't want to take the stall. Okay. So you can only pay 5 coins. I'm just going to skip through some of this because it's kind of boring. Your daughter hates you. He was a wife beater. Oh my god. Okay. Great. This guy's a great person, obviously. About the potion. Do we actually have a healing potion? I think we do. Could we sell it to him? Also, technically, we'll be able to make... Yeah, so we do have a healing potion. I think we should keep that for us, though. It's just hard to say. What do travelers need? He clears his throat and turns away to have a look at his store. While some of the crates and barrels are empty, they're carrying an assortment of odds and ends. Tools made of wood and stones, pots, mugs, seeds, vegetables, and fabric. It takes him a few minutes to look through the wares. He puts 3 packages on the countertop, and he unwraps the first one. You recognize what it is by the shape alone. Tell me, isn't this a beauty? The haft is long, but the head is light. I know what you're thinking. Your eyes say everything. He praises the weapon loudly, but you barely listen to him. You see your reflection in the unused blade, as sharp as they get. You're not a smith. You see not a spot of rust. When you take a swing, it hardly takes any effort. The leather straps holding the pieces together are just a decoration, and the handle is as smooth as glass and fits perfectly in your hand. I doubt you can afford it. His long fingers tap against the parchment windows of a lantern. Its frame is cheap and made of oak. It is glued. It is quiet. Not as fancy as an iron one with oil, but you can carry it in caves without luring all the corpse eaters and goblins. Perfect for travellers. Inside the tavern, you find a place for a candle. Not a great match for people living in the wood house. Hide and glue are easy to make, but I will ask for more than 4 rings. The last sack is as wide as a saddle and 3 hands tall. It contains a whole bunch of undyed linen sheets. We usually keep them for traders, but we could use a few dragon rings, and who knows if there's ever going to be another caravan. Interested? Depends what you want for it. Oh my good god, okay, we can't afford any of his stuff. Never mind. How do we get money in this game? It's so hard. Okay, we're going to leave the square. What are we going to do now? The tailor? You follow the guard's direction and reach the whitewashed building, standing on the western bank next to a small garden of flowers and herbs. It's well kept and clean, with a plain beaten front yard. It's in parts covered with sand. Through the open windows, you catch a glance of the furniture, made of smooth, almost shiny wood, with hints of dark cherry-like red, decorated with carvings of plants. A woman in her 40s is sitting on a wooden bench. The table is covered with fabrics, threads, and needles made of bone and iron. She's sewing a long sleeve to what's going to become a blue tunic. Her movements are quick and confident. Her brown, wavy, shoulder-length hair is tied into a wreath-like braid, but other than that, her clothes are simple and inconspicuous. She doesn't have a left leg, but you don't notice any cane. You observe her for a few moments until, without sparing you as much as a glance, she encourages you to speak with a grunt. We actually are fine with regards to armor. If she's really cheap, then I'm looking for a tailor. You've found one. Name's Bean. Could you answer a couple of questions? The boredom in her voice is palpable. I'm not a bard. I'm interested in a new set of clothes. I could tell. Well, that's a lot of work, and I do not take my work lightly. If I were to give you anything, people would see it, and I'll let you know for some rags. By that you mean your prices are high? I'll take me a day or so to finish, and a fine fabric. Your city clothes are just fine for wilderness, I guess. What I'll give you is for the time with lamb meat and mead, no pathfinding. The longer the outfit you want, the higher the price. So I'll consider the things people say about you as well. Yeah, we can't afford anything at all. Hilarious. My gambeson needs some work. You take it off and point to a few abrasions. I take from 2 to 5 dragon rings for fixing a jacket, but you will get anything more from this one. To get a truly strong for longer, it needs to be made of better materials, like spider silk. Tell me about the spider silk. It is a silk made by spiders. The large ones, they use it to spin webs. It's stronger than thread, but my neighbours do not walk to the woods no more. It is getting harder and harder. Let me think about it. In 15 minutes, your clothes will get patched and tidy. Gambeson enhancement. In 2 hours, parts of its thread will be replaced by spider silk. Find your own silk to get a better price. So that's something we want to think about. Somebody's ringing my door very frantically, so I'm just going to go and have a quick look. Okay. Okay, let's just go. We're not bothered about this tailor. When we've got some more money, we'll come back and have a look. Let's go and speak to the local priest, which is kind of one of the main reasons why we came to this little town anyway. You head south of the dead tree in the main square. Before you get to the second thatched building, a large man stands up from a bench and gets into your way. He's close to 50, taller than most people you've seen in your life, broad-shouldered. His hair and short beard are brown, matching his elegant woolen robe. A thick club is attached to his right wrist with a leather strap. He left his sandals by his sitting spot. Many want to speak with our guides and teachers, but you're not welcome here. Turn back, stranger. I'm your new Roadwarden. Are you sure no soul here needs my assistance? His harsh look softens. We can handle ourselves. If that changes, Elpis will summon you. Can I know why? You can. You're from the outside and you cannot be trusted. The boors and slaves of the United Church would crush us if they had a chance. Before we allow you to spy on us, we need to be sure it's worth it. I'm not a spy. I don't believe you. I don't want any trouble. Travelers bring their problems onto others. Their will means nothing. You're wandering through the village. An upset mouflon is bleating time and again, waiting for someone's attention. A washwoman is singing about the last sunbeams of summer, but her heavy accent makes the words difficult to understand. Strange that the druids won't see me. Okay, I think we're kind of done here. Let's get traveling again. Do we need to rest though? That's the thing, like, I don't really understand the whole rest thing yet. Wait? Is it wait? What time is it now? 3 hours and 30 minutes before dusk. Yeah, we can't sleep. I go to the innkeeper. No, doesn't want to let me do that. Okay, well anyway, let's just move on. I think is fine. Travel. Okay, where should we go? Keep going this way? So Howler's Dell was where we were originally aiming to go. We could do a weird thing, so we could, you know that guy we were talking about? The stranger wants to go to Howler's Dell. He needs another day to gather his things. Yeah, so we need to go back to that at another point. Okay. Yeah, there's nothing we can actually do. Let's just go to the next place. We'll go this way. The path gets greener and meanders between treacherous precipices. You ride slowly, passing by birds and ibexes, but in the distance you spot circling harpies, and below you a roaming mountain cat pursuing a mouflon. You take a sip from your water skin. The air here is a bit dry. Let's hope the echo of hooves won't reach any larger beasts. The path leads you down again to a small, moist valley, impenetrable for a rider. The thickets made of thorny shrubs, tall grasses, and the weak, fallen boughs that nourish mosses and mushrooms. You examine the remnants of the path, covered with greenish puddles. Without the roots with a flesh layer of pebbles, it may still be restored. You look behind you. The road is clear, no ambushes so far. But if you hope to clear this place, it'd be better to do so soon. It's only going to get denser with the passage of days. I'm not afraid of getting tired. I'll get this done in half the time. Okay. Oh, we stinky. Your muscles, not used to such tiring work, grow tired quickly, but you don't let yourself take a break. Soon you push yourself even more from annoyance than anything, and after you're done, you notice the torn parts of your pants and sleeves. When it comes to pushing aside the boughs, You breathe heavily, but you need only enough space to let your palfrey through. Maybe the animals will start to roam this place again, beating the path. Don't know why we really bothered doing that, but whatever. You reach a convenient mountain pass, with crags smoothed out by centuries of rain. The sun warms up both the vegetation and the beaten road, and the only beasts you spot are loud rooks, glancing at you from your rocks and branches. Clearing the rock slide would take hours of work and a large group of people, while forcing Sadal to climb up and down could break its legs. I dismount and look around. You climb up the rocks, having plenty of spots to reach your hands. Most of them won't even move an inch. As you get closer to a small dead tree, you notice something odd among the stones. Pieces of fabric, completely covered with mold, most likely the remains of a tunic. It won't even... What's happening here? It's all, I don't know. Seek shelter. It's too dangerous to stay here. Okay. Okay, I reckon we can make it back to Howler's Dell then. Cool. You spend a few minutes with Sadal, but before you reach the square, someone clears their throat. You turn to a man in his 50s, the stable master. You frown, then realize you indeed saw him before, and your palfrey was taken care of during your first visit. Or rather, I'm one when 'tis necessary, but I'd rather grind flour. You do not think the beast waters itself, brings itself fodder from a storehouse and cleans its own shit? Time ticks and he, 'tis. It's not gonna work for me, you better have a pouch at hand. The stables are not much more than an open shed, with 2 donkeys and a bunch of napping chickens. For one day, that's fair. He looks around, rubbing his hands together. Your education could be of use here. Come to think of it, it's an opportunity for the village. Horse manure makes a great plant food. You describe what you've learned during your studies, and the man stops paying any attention. Fine. I'll grab a shovel and barrow. Issue solved. You're wandering through the village. You see a crying boy surrounded by 3 older girls. They clean his injured knee while stopping themselves from laughter. A couple of older people are gossiping with excitement while they grind grains with millstones. Okay, well, let's sleep then. Sleep on a mouflon pelt or sleep in a room. We kind of do need to heal up a bit, get food, and make myself smelly. I think I'm going to splash out and do this, because I think this is a good idea, but I'm probably going to regret it. We need to find a way of getting money. That's going to give us what? Minus things. Yeah. Okay, let's just pay. Cool. Your first sleep ends, but your usual 1 hour break is instantly interrupted by noise. You stand up, walk to the window, and see the reason for the commotion. A group of workers is just outside the inn, drinking and laughing. Eric's the innkeeper is also among them. You could join them, but if you do so, you won't get a good sleep tonight, and after such a long day, you may end up exhausted. I just want to rest. During your time in Holovan, you learn how to ignore drunken crowds. You can relax and return to your routine. I sharpen my blade and go back to sleep. I should have probably got involved, but I can't be bothered. You spend the night in peace in a clean bed with a tightly shut window and a warm blanket. In the morning, you find a stool placed by your bed, covered with a pie with hare and cabbage, a bowl of plum and grapes, and a cup of mouflon milk. Once you get dressed and go downstairs, a young boy who's covered in mud speaks unusually loudly and enthusiastically and mentions that Sadal has already been brushed and watered. The innkeeper is sitting near the door, from time to time carrying out another bowl of stew or gruel. Face is nowhere to be seen. I offer my services to the guards. You'll join a group of guards and workers that are meant to remove branches and other obstacles. You'll keep them in touch with the village. This task will take about half a day and may get dangerous. Okay, I think we need money, so we're going to do this. I am actually going to go and get myself a little bit of ice cream there, because I've got a slightly croaky throat. So I'll be back in just 10 seconds. I didn't actually know you could work in this game. This is... I wonder if it's because we're broke and it's giving us the option or something. Maybe it, like, doesn't happen all the time, or... I'm not sure. But yeah, obviously I will have to eat a bit of ice cream to soothe my throat. So that will mean I might have to not talk for a little bit. Well, we'll see how it goes. Okay, let's work and see what happens. It quickly turns out you don't have much to do. You get your job done quickly and with little difficulty. Nice. Okay, we should keep our eye out for these kind of things again then. Awesome. Cool. Travel it is then. Well, now we know we can't get through there, we're just going to go north instead. The road is beaten and free of litter. You notice paths between the fruit-bearing trees on your right, and soon after that, you ride alongside vast fields of broad beans, almost ready for the second harvest of the summer. Then there are green hemp plants taller than you are, waiting for a scythe or sickle. The locals keep the beasts at a distance, I guess. It is a bit interesting that they're not plagued at all. I reckon it's to that tree. Sadal's hooves thump loudly on the beaten track. The green bushes, shrubs, and trees prove that the soil here is fertile. Yet the plants don't overgrow the road. These crossroads must be busy at times, maybe even patrolled. In the distant west, you see the mountain peaks dividing the lowlands from the ocean. The road east leads towards the hills, behind which there are unusually tall, dark trees. There's a dense forest in the north from which you hear the croaking of toads. The last path is already known to you. You're surrounded by 4 signposts, all of which seem to be made from the same type of wood, now covered in moss and fungi. Yet the pictures and letters that cover the nailed boards are nothing alike. Okay, weird, very strange. I suppose then, let's just have a look at some of these. I approach the western signpost. That's 2 planks attached to a single post, both of them nailed with rusty steel. The lower sign is divided in 2 halves. The left edge is engraved with 4 simple shapes, squares with roof-like lines hanging above them. The other edge bears 2 engraved piles, one of them of a horizontal rectangle, the other of inexact circles. The letters between these 2 piles say stone. The upper plank is covered with a white word monastery, though it's divided in half. Right below it is engraved vertical rectangle with an hourglass in it. What the hell is all this? Oh god. Eastern. The long plank attached with rust and iron nails is almost empty, bears no words, only a single picture, painted with great care. Portrays a city-like gate with a watchtower to its left and right, and a couple of small conifers growing beside and partially behind towers. The northern, it is attached with nails made of pointy carved bones, and is divided into 3 sections, covered with small engravings. The part of the left has 3 large squares with roof-like lines hanging above them, no other pictures or words. The one in the middle has only 1 square, but a simple horizontal symbol of fish, and a short word, which spells salt. The image on the right has 2 roofed squares, but also 2 other images which you recognise easily. A deer and a standing barrel. Southern. Howler's Dell, obviously. Eastern. That's the one we've done already. Okay. I tried to find out where the old sign used to be attached. The southern post is the only one with holes left by nails. Okay, interesting. I take another look at the destroyed sign. It's covered with green letters that spell Steep House and a colourful pictures of flowers and trees now blending in with mould. As far as you can tell, it used to be attached to the southern post. Maybe it's the village that got, like, destroyed. That's what Steep House was. I searched the area some more. Okay, fine. I think there was one that looked interesting. Which one was it? Western? The western one, that's the monastery. I think that's where we want to try to go. I thought we wanted to head kind of east, though. Keep going. Oh, no, west is where we want to go. Yeah. Let's go this way. See what we get. They probably won't see us, though. Okay. We cross a clean, shallow, yet wide creek that runs south, then follow the uphill path squeezed between the hills and the lush forest. You spend a good couple of minutes passing a haunting meadow, filled with dozens, maybe hundreds of cut-down trees, now overgrown by bushes and grass. You can't think of another time when you've seen a clearing of such size. It seems dangerous. If this goes on, the animals will join forces to strike down whoever's responsible for this. The locals are surely ambitious. I wonder how far they can push it. Once the clearing ends and turns into a corridor of trees and hills, you stop your horse. There's a monster in the middle of the road, reaching out with its long arms to grab and devour fruits and leaves from the tree, chewing on them with haste. It's standing on its hind legs, leaning on a thick tail. As there isn't much hair on its grey skin, you see its impressive muscles. The beast is 3 times the size of a human, and while each move it makes is slow, its long claws, and the ease of which it breaks one of the branches make you think a single swing would be enough for it to pierce through your jacket. Just as likely that it would simply break your bones and send you into the air. Like most people, you know quite a bit about pebblers. Once they get used to an unfenced farm or forest garden, getting rid of them can be a huge issue. There aren't many blades that are able to cut through their skin and bones, and a single mistake may put them in a furious charge, encouraging them to look for human dwellings which they can tear down in revenge. This beast doesn't give you as much as of a glance, but also doesn't walk away. The best you can hope for is that it's going to walk away on its own, maybe tomorrow, maybe later. Facing it in a fight would end badly. I return to the crossroads. Fair enough. Okay, so we can't go that way right now. Let's go north then. We're following some fire. The road leads to a gentle creek filled with the buzzing of flies, mosquitoes, and gnats. Yep, spot any critters among the tall meadows, tree branches, or rocky slopes. Seeing the shapeless dark vortex of wings, Sadal snorts. Oh god. This isn't going to be good. With access to an alchemy table, I can make a protective ointment against their bites. Do we actually have one though? We have alchemic ingredients. We don't have an alchemy table. Okay. The problem is we're probably just going to get sick if we do this. Yeah, okay, so we have to go through the swarm. I'm not sure how much of a torch is really going to help us. But the clothes thing, it just seems stupid and a waste of time. So I'm going to do the torch. Okay, let's put it to the test. Oh, we lost health. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, it won't actually let me go across here. Okay, fair enough. Wow, as if we're so blocked. This is really interesting. So, the corridor of leaves and grey rocks leads you to a gate, large enough for a wagon, held together by a wooden bar. The planks are covered with claw marks left by various monsters. I will. I'm good with faces. The stuff ye have, that ass. You might as well scream I'm not from here. I'm armed, you know, but I'm no enemy.
Just on guard duty. We can talk if you want, lifetime.
He leaves the tower. He's wearing a black gambeson, so ragged it can't be fastened anymore. Tells of a story of claws, thorns, and improvised repairs. A hole in the man's hemp pants reveal a scraped knee. It's hard to tell his age through his exhausted, sleepy eyes, a short unkept beard, and a bandage horizontally covering his ears and the spot that used to be his nose. There's clotted blood in his brown hair and mud in his clothes and brown neck. Despite all this, he's of a huge shell with wide shoulders and thick legs. He stands upright, observing you.
So, a warden, you're new to the job.
New here, but I know what I'm doing.
No pass will prepare you for this shit place. Nights are all ape, piss and blood. Just before sunrise, a bird tried to pluck out my eye. This gate here. It's older than me. All there. Wilds and beasts. My tribe built this place to keep them away from us. And us them.
He scratches a bandage on his neck.
Name's Quintus. From old Pagos. Been there. So you don't know. It's west from here, behind the crossroads. But it's touched by sickness. We used to send one soul here every morning and escort them back before nightfall. But some days ago, no one came. Spent a night here, sneaking wolf shits almost got me. Picks up an almost empty water skin from behind a parapet, takes a sip. I went home by myself only to learn about the sick. I've been here ever since.
What do you know about the plague?
Not much, it kills. That's all there is to know. My tribe's smart locking the gate. The right gave them strength.
Shouldn't you look for a real shelter?
Someone has got to stay at the gate. The villagers in the east don't know about the illness. They may try crossing the woods at the closed gate while fleeing some wolves and stuff. And also, I can't leave the gate open. It's a dam for monsters. All I can do is choose the way I die. So this is it.
I'm surprised you survived this long.
Well, you cannot call it surviving. I call it potions. Beasts took me for easy prey. But the good monks from the mountains equip our guards well. They're helping our ill, but used to brew all sorts of stuff.
Sand moves to an earthenware pot. You could at least spend a night in one of the villages. He adjusts his jacket by shaking his soldiers.
I'm not a beggar, and the villagers in the north won't help me for more than a day or two. I've no dragon bones, just this little ibex. Old Pagos is by itself. We don't look for kind folks.
Hmm. 6 meals. So basically we have to give him some food and he'll help us get through or something. The thing is, I don't think we can actually hunt because we don't have any gear. Well, we're not going to be able to do any of this. We don't have any money, and we're not going to be able to get any food. This is going to be tricky. I do remember seeing somebody selling quarrels in Pelt, I think it was. We could do that. Okay, he's not happy with that. He hasn't seen a Styrian in a few days. Did he often travel through the woods? Yes. He had a saurian. That's so cool. He used it to jump over. Red scales. Okay, we need to ask him some more stuff then. What's it like to live in Old Pegasus? He opens his mouth, giving you a puzzled look, then lets out a wee chuckle.
What am I to say? We've got rocks. We make houses, bowls, and tools. We sell them too. We grow oats and grow beans. Ibexes give us wool and skins for monks. What do you call it? The one you write on? Yes, it's a good place. Beautiful old hill. That's what Pagos means. Old hill.
When you bring up the monastery, his eyes get brighter.
Good people. They came here on a mission teaching us Wright's book. My grandparents were pagans, you know. We now follow the river of truth. We keep to ourselves, but help others when they need us.
I've heard about some bandits.
I only know there's one band somewhere, but not around. I never saw them.
Why are you afraid of Glaucia?
I don't know who you're talking about.
What can you tell me about the road?
Not much. It leads through lowlands, ghostly woods and ponds. It's dark and lethal.
He mentions tales of ghosts, dragons, fogs, and blood mages. But whenever you ask him about any creature in particular, his response is vague and brief.
The tribe abandoned this path. Ever since the war, the trade has been slow. People refuse to patrol it. The plants are getting taller. But for at least a few more seasons, it's still a shortcut. It's good that you have a mount. If Horde chases you, always stay close to the pass. Ride as fast as you can.
If no one uses this road, why are you here?
Not no one. It's where people hunt for monsters, and every few days I have to open it for reasons.
Seriously, you're tempting the forest. You need to seek shelter.
Nah, where would I go anyway?
Dell has more supplies you can eat in a year?
I could spend some time with the Pelt's crew again, but forget it. I can't afford even that. Unless you're looking for a pair of hands, I better stay here.
So the thing that stops you from going to Pelt is dragon bones.
I mean, that's a pretty big thing. In the north, everyone looks after themselves. The hunters may be friends, but I won't beg them for help.
About your duty. Do I want to enter the wilds? I don't think so. Okay, whatever. I don't really understand. So basically, yeah, this is heart of the forest. We don't want to go there on our own right now. We've kind of come to a bit of an impasse, so I'm going to move back down this way for now. Basically, we need to find a few things. We need an alchemy table so we can make that stuff that goes through the swamp. The shapes of mountains are cutting through the horizon. The water gets gradually less muddy. The cleaner it gets, the more animals you see. A family of deer blocks the road, resting and enjoying the cold water, which would be deadly for a human's stomach. You consider riding around them, though the sparse meadow, but your presence also causes them disquiet. Without much haste, they regroup and run east into the leafy forest. You've reached Hag's Hills, the wall of stones that's blocked the city's grasp. The one well-established route through them leads through the valley where you find Tulia's camp. There are no maps of the highlands, nor local tribes, only stories. The beaten path leads you by the garden beds of herbs and vegetables to an old yet not abandoned mine, hidden behind a massive door of steel. I look around. A bearded, skinny elder sits on a bench, observing you like a sculpture, with his legs crossed and fingers interlocked on his abdomen. Let's be witty. I think someone swallowed your wall, old man. Better move your veggies inside. The reprimanding look is followed by icy words.
A traveler is going to teach me how to take care of my land. Your words are of a soul as dumb as a fowl.
Digesting the thick accent and the insult it delivers, you get off your horse, once again hearing the man's annoyed voice.
Let me see while you speak. I can hear without magic, and I'll read your lips.
He doesn't yell, but his voice reminds you of a combat instructor from the city. His face is wrinkled, but he sits straight with beard and hair still carrying glimpses of fair blonde. He's tanned like a worker, and his eyes are blue and piercing, as if they belong to an infant.
'Tis a refuge for those who are trusted, but I see no friendly breath in you. Say what you're looking for and leave.
Okay, we're going to use knowledge. I've read about people like him in Wright's tablets. You ponder about his unusual vigor in the unguarded garden. He may be a spiritual leader of a pagan community, most likely a spellcaster. Druids try to protect others from nature's wrath by teaching them to respect the laws of balance and restraint. Different tribes develop their own traditions. But you know that in this province, such priests prefer to be addressed as forest speakers. I explain who I am. What do you call him? Forest speaker. He lowers his head and closes his eyes, taking deep breaths, forcing you to be silent. The elder is tall, with long hair and a beard that was let loose a long time ago. His sandals are covered in dust, and you spot old dirt in his clothes and skin. The woolen tunic and linen were made with care, decorated with colourful threads at the collar and sleeves. Now all the blues and greens have faded, and the fabric is held together by patches and stitches. He unfolds his hands and puts them on his lap.
You know our customs, at least some of them. Those who know how to bow to the trees will never suffer from wild creatures.
I wait for him to look at me. The man stands up and approaches your palfrey. Without touching it, he observes his eyes, mane, stomach, and rear. Zadal ignores this examination.
My nose was right then. Asterion is dead, and so are his plans. Such is the fate of all dreamers.
He turns toward you with a grim look.
You going to look for him? Why? If he's vanished into the fogs, that's no point in putting yourself in danger. What do you expect to find?
You just want the truth.
You just want the truth, for its own sake, with nigh gay behind it.
His laughter is chilling.
I heard he had put his hands into many storms, which will near end without him. I do not doubt people will value the knowledge. The peninsula could use some honesty.
So what do you need? This is a very long interaction. I wonder whether I'll read all of this or not. Just trying to have a bit more ice cream so I can keep going. So, basically, he's told us that Asterion had dreams of creating a prosperous realm here. Yeah, his greed and dreams have eaten him, and now he's no more. What can you tell me about this place?
Your eye sees what there's to know. People found copper in a cave. It's been abandoned for a long time now, so we turned it into a shelter to stay close to the sacred tree and its altar. We're servants, my wife and I, and this place is nothing more than a servant's house.
How can you survive all by yourself?
One day, me and my wife will be but defenseless old people, but we've studied pneuma and leaves for many decades. I heal wounds and illnesses of humans and animals, and the beasts listen to our whispers. The holy seed lets our shells wait for death in strength.
What can you tell me about the peninsula?
I've lived here almost a century, travelled both by the paths and through the wilderness.
His voice becomes stronger and makes you think of a bard.
But I will be your guide, or a teacher. even if there's anything I can wish for, it is that you will stay away from the woods. The creatures get angrier the more we take from them. They do not listen to our warnings, and one day they'll bury us under a storm of claws and fangs. There will be no soul to spare a tear after us.
His eyes are as harsh as a hawk's, making him look like a priest who hears a child asking for honey on a day of ceremonial feasting.
Do no poke the hornet's nest. Do not ride east, and never use the path that runs through the heart of this land. That route is meant to save time, but only brings death. Be a servant and an overseer. Do not try to bend this place to your will. Your will or anyone's will is the key to danger, not salvation.
I thank him. These instructions are in line with my thoughts. Do not ride east and never use the path that runs through the heart of this land. Okay. What about some bandits?
There are souls who steal from White Marshes, a village in the north. They wouldn't dare to show up here, but those brigands are brute simpletons. Eva, their leader, Gloria, listens only to force and will humiliate for the enjoyment of the band. She will not be afraid of some lost roadwarden. She drifted so far from her old self. A kind, bright girl from Gale Rocks, loved by her parents, but now, do not cross her, or she'll find you. Trying to help the wounded, I see, a notable goal. 'Tis a good season to pick flowers and leaves, but you'd leave me with nothing but the bare stalks of black tubers in this soil. And I quite like these tubers. You wish to take the oils away, take care of the rest.
Grab yourself a cloth from the bucket and keep your knees from dirt. His tone has not a hint of light-hearted invitation. It's an order of a master addressing their pupil. A statement of undisputed as the colour of the sky. You put away your belongings and grab both the cloth and a small spade that's next to it. As you prepare Sadal to graze in peace, you notice a horned bear among the nearby trees, just down the path. It completely ignores your presence, as you're reaching for the axe, you hear a calm voice of the elder. Let the beasts drink in peace. They seek no harm. After a minute or so, you place the cloth on the ground and kneel on it. You start by cutting away the oily parts of the plant with your dagger and placing them on a wax-soaked cloth, hoping they'll stay somewhat fresh before the season ends. You stop caring about the way they colour your fingers with green and pink. You don't have to be gentle either. After all, you plan to remove the wound warts in their entirety. The man interrupts you before you start digging.
I do not expect there's many herbs growing in the city.
You look at him and wipe your forehead with a sleeve. Once you learn how to read, you can find a lot in the herbaria. The monastery has a great garden with all sorts of valuable knowledge. The neighbours used to be farmers before they lost their homes. I suppose the reading one fits our personality. He opens and closes his mouth. You return to your work, but after a few minutes the man interrupts you again.
What does a codex like this look like? Are there instructions kept on parchments?
You describe the richness stored in hundreds of pages. How each plant is both described and drawn with at least a couple of vivid colours. Through discussion and experiments, the monks gather knowledge about the cultivation uses of various herbs. There are cooking and alchemical recipes as well, though kept in other books. The man thinks about your tale, so you move on with your task. You stab the soil with a spade, getting onto the black rhizomes and roots you can find. The man tells you to leave the garden bed as it is, so you can add some animal dung. You've gathered a small pile of yellowish, worm-like tubers, still covered in dirt, not much longer than a finger and disturbingly twisted. You gesture at the results of your work, but the man frowns and looks towards the pond. You forgot to wash them, herbalist. You have a strong back, just wash them before you eat. Is that me saying that to him? Or... I don't know. I begrudgingly carry the tubers to the bank. You get closer to the tiny waterfall. You stand across it and let the cool water do the job for you. In the meantime, washing your hands. The refreshing touch tempts you to take a sip as well. Finally, You put the tubers on the bench, and the old man, without a comment, grabs one of them and puts them in his mouth, chewing, without a hint of a smile. Your mount just woke up from its short nap. Can you tell me anything about the altar?
It's the tree you should pay attention to, the true gift from the forest. It answers our offerings and rewards us with magnificent fruits. They heal both shell and soul, and we make anyone who eats them stronger than they ever were. We gather around this altar whenever the winter ends, and whilst it requires a painful sacrifice, it prepares one's soul for the future like nothing else could.
Interesting. I want to know what happened to the village in the east.
I'm not willing to tell you that.
Interesting. What can you tell me about the druids? I will not share our paths with strangers. Seems like the path of the Heart of the Woods is quite dangerous.
It's a long dark past, and has already caught many souls of its builders. It is paved with blood, and the last 10 years have revealed it was all for nothing. Since the days of grand discord, the tribes of this land are locking themselves in their fields and houses, too afraid to leave them behind. Too untrusting to meet other souls unguarded. It is near the first road to be claimed back by the wilderness, and it will not be the last.
Okay, looks like we're done here. Cool. Well, looks like we're gonna have to go somewhere else. Kinda wanna go in there, but I don't know. Doesn't seem like we can. Okay. Fine. We're gonna have to just go back over. Actually, is it time enough to take that guy? I think it probably is. Anyway, to be honest, I'm trying to think how long we've actually done. We probably should stop about here, I would say. Because we're meant to be keeping these episodes kind of shorter, because they take a long time. There's a lot of talking. So yeah, I reckon this is actually a good length, I would say. Yeah. Let's do that then. Okay, well, so what we'll do is next time we're going to have a check on that old man who's in the ruins. We're going to go there, and then we'll take him to Howler's Dell, see what that gets us, and then we'll be heading over to explore this part a little bit more. We really do need to find something to get us over here, but we can't do that right now. Brilliant. But yeah, I think that was a great, a little bit more of an exploration. As obviously it's a relatively slow game because you have to read a lot. A bit of a sore throat today, so that was a struggle. But yeah, really enjoying it. It's actually really, really cool so far. But yeah, thanks so much for watching, guys, and I will catch you again. I've got some time off right now, so I'm hoping to do a couple more streams, maybe this, or actually getting back into War Tales again. Like I really enjoyed that as well, and I've kind of put it to one side for now. So hopefully I'll catch you later in the week, and enjoy your, well, if you have a bank holiday then, or a day off, then enjoy that. But if you don't, then carry on. But yeah, thanks so much for watching, guys, and I will catch you next time.